7 of these facilities worldwide, which can act in unison because they bounce their energy off the ionosphere and direct it to wherever they want it to go. They don't build them to take photographs off and get their pictures standing next to. They build these things to use them. And if we look at the United Nations Treaty on weather warfare applications, they've all signed not to use it on each other as nations. So who are they going to use it on? It's the populations of the world.
A variety of electromagnetic devices have been developed and used. This investigation has resulted from the plausible hypothesis that the atmosphere has now been modified into what is called a plasma state, or an electrified gas. Testing has produced a variety of indications that this hypothesis is indeed correct, and that the atmosphere is regularly being used for electromagnetic applications. ELF energy is of special concern because of its direct connection to the health aspects of the electromagnetic nature of human beings. Artificial pulse energy appears to now have been detected on a variety of occasions, and evidence indicates that it is now a part of our unseen environment.
Now they're actually using some kind of metallic substances to create a better type of circuitry in the sky for the electromagnetic scalar weaponry, which they're using through HARP technology. So they're using the spraying in conjunction with the HARP technologies to alter the weather, but it also affects human behavior. For those who are skeptical about this, look into the treaty signed at the United Nations by all the Western powers to do with weather warfare technologies. And you'll find in there that they signed in to it that they could create earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, and various other anomalies, atmospheric anomalies, downpours or droughts. It could give you a drought if you want to destroy the farming areas, which happened over the last few years out west of Canada and the States. And it can also give you floods. Either way, they can eventually get the people out of those areas into the big city areas, which are really the habitat for the commoners, the new habitat areas for the commoners. They have this technology, they are using it, and they're going to use it to the full. And at the same time, they must convince us, the general population, the masses as we were called, that we are causing the problems. There's too many of us, and we are causing global warming. So that we go into the habitat areas.
You're breathing out. You can breathe in, but don't breathe out.
Don't breathe out.
Sure. Your carbon dioxide is now a stress on the planet. The carbon tax is the most obscene strike against our humanity, our intellect, and our independence and our autonomy that I've ever seen.
Officially, it began with the Open Sky Treaty. The Open Sky Treaty, to the public, again, a very good reason is presented. It was put forth as a way for other countries, after the Cold War, to monitor each other by observation flyovers. That's the good reason they give you. However, the reasons they go into don't make sense. For instance, to see if military establishments are being built, facilities to launch missiles, etc., and all of that stuff. Now, they have more hardware floating around in space than probably all the metals that were used in previous societies for all their wars. They have more satellites out there that can see the brand of chewing gum you're opening. They can pinpoint things exactly, and cloud cover is nothing because they use infrared and different methods of seeing through all of this stuff. They can even see into the ground. Scientific papers in the past have boasted about this in detail, yet they want flyovers, you see. So here's the good reason for the public thinking about this: to keep us safe, to make sure we're all, as the pirates and the Masons say, above board. Nothing is going on by subterfuge. Very, very important project, way too important in fact for simple observation, which, as I say, by aircraft is obsolete technically. They don't need it anymore. They have satellites to do all of that.
But then when you look into it deeper and get copies of this Open Sky Treaty, there are observers observing the observers So, in other words, the observers are observing the ones that are spraying the public to make sure they're doing it.
But here's the very good reason they give us, and this is from the US government and from the Open Skies Consultative Commission. Treaty on Open Skies. The Treaty on Open Skies was signed on 24th of March 1992 in Helsinki, Finland. It entered into force on the 1st of January 2002. That's not true either. They've changed that because I have a memory. I remember them publishing this in the newspapers in Canada back in the 90s. It says following ratification by 20 countries. The treaty, which is designed to promote openness and transparency in military activities, established a regime of observation flights over the territory of its signatories. Signatories are allowed to conduct observation flights using unarmed. You could really play around forever today with unarmed, because you'd have screeds of legalities just in there, depending on how you define arms, with high tech, etc. Fixed-wing aircraft to gather information about the military forces and activities of other states parties from Vancouver to Vladivostok. The treaty also envisages. Now, this is the little clause that's the real reason. This is a little clause that is the real reason, not the camouflage. The treaty also envisages the possible extension of the open skies regime to additional areas. They always do get the law in the books and expand it, you see, to the real purpose. To additional areas such as crisis management and protection of environment. That's the real reason, not the very good reason, but the real reason for the Open Sky Treaty. The treaty also envisages the possible extension, envisage is to see ahead, you see, the possible extension of the Open Skies regime, military term, regiment, regime, to additional areas such as crisis management and protection of environment. Now, that tells you why would something to do with military establishments and nuclear weaponry, etc., why would they have to go into crisis management and protection of environment? Protection, not observation, but protection of environment. And below it has treaty members. There are more joining all the time because this is happening on a world scale, and when you see the amount of stuff that's sprayed daily pretty well over your own heads, you realize this is drifting for hundreds and hundreds of miles, and sometimes thousands of miles, to other countries, that ultimately no one can stay away from it. However, these are the main treaty members, and they will see the spraying over their heads, which has nothing to do, obviously, with observation. These aren't condensation trails. Condensation trails, as an aircraft comes across the horizon, you'll see it a few hand spans behind the craft. You'll see the tail of the condensation disappearing, as moisture would have to. It can't sit there forever like a big icicle. The ones we see are not condensation, they're chemical. And remember what I just read, the treaty also envisages a possible extension of the open skies regime to additional areas such as crisis management and protection of environment. The treaty's 35 states parties are Belarus, Belgium, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Canada, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Georgia, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, the Kriegsrepublik, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, the Russian Federation, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Turkey, Ukraine, United Kingdom, and the United States of America. Several other states have declared their intent to accede. The real intent of the Open Skies Treaty was simply to deal with a threat from out there, the environment, you see. but it's also to do with controlling people, crisis management. Remember, this is a United Nations effort, and the World Health Organization